Welcome back to the Fiasco Sports NBA season previews. I'm Matt Sampson. Joining me today is Todd Lewis, and I think the jumper gives it away. We're talking about the Houston Rockets today.
Yep.
Thanks to Sporties for having us. Check out the link in the description below. You know, they've been really nice to have us here. They're trying to open up at the moment, aren't they? And we're sort of holding it back, but they've been really helpful. If you're in Adelaide, want to grab a beer, grab a palmy.
Yeah, come watch some sport here.
Watch the footy finals are on right now. I know once this comes out they won't be, but
Yeah.
You can sort of maybe come back in time and watch footy finals here. We're going to get into it though.
Yep.
Houston Rockets, I know you're a mad Houston supporter. What are you thinking about this season?
I hope we can improve on next season. That's 2 first-round exits in a row now. Not where we want to be. We've got the squad to do it, so I'm just hoping we can take it further. The West is obviously pretty tough. It's always going to be hard to get to the second and third rounds. It's never easy. And yeah, the big place we've got to improve is defense, obviously. James Harden's come out and said he reckons he's the best player in the league, which is until he
Can't say I agree with that one.
Yeah, I got to say the same thing. Until he starts playing defense properly or at all, that's when he can start saying that, because he has got the tools. Like, he's probably one of the best offensive players in the league. You can't argue with that. But there's 2 ends of the court.
Yeah, well, anytime you have multiple mixtapes made about you of just how bad you are at tracking someone off the ball and getting beat on back cuts, getting blown by, and, you know, just half-heartedly playing defense, you can't call yourself the best player in the game. But, you know, he's a wicked scorer. I have to agree. He's still top 10 in my mind. Looking at what the Rockets did last season, though, 54-28, that's pretty respectable in the West. Fourth, got that home court advantage. Didn't really count for much with Damian Lillard sort of.
It all went wrong.
Yeah,
it all went horribly wrong.
I didn't want to bring that one up too much because I know how you feel about Damian Lillard's jump shot right now. But you know, it was disappointing flame out in that first round. But the biggest story in Houston was all offense, no defense, wasn't it? Second in the league for points per game, but 23rd in defense isn't really going to do much for you in the playoffs, is it?
No, and especially with bringing Dwight Howard in, you would have thought that was going to improve. Like, defensive player of the year, I don't even know how many times, but a lot.
3 times. Yeah. 3 times.
So you thought that would be the thing, the catalyst to turn that around, but it starts on the outside as well. And when you've got blokes like Harden just letting him blow by you, I hope it changes. I don't know, to be honest, because Harden does have a bit of an ego, so he could easily just say, whatever, I'm still going offensively. So it might be a bit like the Dwight Howard free throw saga. He always says he's going to get better at it, but he never really does. And
well, he shoots 80% in training, okay, so that's got to count for something, doesn't it?
Nah, talking about practice.
Yeah, I mean, can anyone play defense on this team? Patrick Beverley can.
Parsons could.
He's gone. Howard's a great rim protector, but like you said, it starts on the outside. You can only do so much as a shot blocker. You know, if you're getting come at constantly, the percentages are that you're going to get in foul trouble eventually, and you're going to get beaten a lot of times because, you know, you can't block every shot. That's the point. Like, you can protect the rim, but you need somewhere to protect you as well. The offense was great last year, though, wasn't it? That inside outside. Harden, all he does is shoot threes and free throws. And Howard, all he does is hang around the rim, get those lobs. His post game actually improved a little bit last year, which is, you know, people harp on him for that, but you don't need him to be a great post scorer, do you? You're sort of looking for other guys to give you that offense by committee. Yeah,
I'd love them to give it to him less in the post, probably. It gets a little bit frustrating when they go to him a lot, and then he only scores, I reckon, 1 in 2 times, probably less than that. I think it's like, I can't even remember, it's like 0.8 a possession or something for scoring in the post. So
he's only really got 2 moves. He's sort of got that drop step where he goes close, like straight at the bucket, or he takes that one power dribble and goes up with that hook shot. I mean, he doesn't have much footwork in there. He's not sort of shaking, and he's done a lot of work with Hakeem Olajuwon, which I thought he would have improved his footwork a bit, but he definitely doesn't have a dream shake, which, you know, that's not an easy move to perfect, but you'd think he'd have more. He needs some counter moves. He sort of always goes to that drop step, always goes to that hook shot. I want to see him go to that hook shot and then take that drop step and come back. But, you know, like you said, we don't want to see them passing it into him too much, you know. Let Harden and some of the new signings do a lot of the scoring, and Howard be that guy that can clean it up.
Yeah, I'd love to see more of well, they did it a fair bit last year, but more of a pick and roll game, because Harden's so good at attacking the rim, like so good, and if he's attacking the rim a lot and it's effective, that should open up Howard for that drop pass, and he should be able to get easy points. These two are the best at what they do, pretty much. Howard under the rim and Harden attacking the basket, so it should work.
The pick and roll is all about causing chaos and causing confusion, and who no one knows who to guard who. And you got a guy like Harden who is excellent at getting at the rim, and he's hard to guard because he holds the ball out in front of him. He draws that contact, so you're either going to foul Harden, and then you got one of the better athletes in the league, just running at the rim,
rolling to the rim.
You know, like you said, that's really going to help. But the offense wasn't the problem last year, was it? Second in the league. But, you know, looking at who they've brought in the off-season, there's a couple big names coming in, isn't there? Trevor Ariza, he's been a massive signing.
I'm excited to have him back.
Yeah.
Always liked Trevor Ariza through those tough years where we didn't really have as good a side. He was exciting to watch. So I'm glad he's back in with a good team around him.
Yeah, but that came at the price of Chandler Parsons, didn't it?
Oh, yeah, big time.
This was a massive move that I think, personally, the Rockets blew, in that they had Parsons under contract for less than $1 million. They let him go because they wanted to use him. They wanted to free up some cap space so they could send that massive deal to Chris Bosh and then look at Parsons afterwards. But the Bosh deal never came about. They've lost Parsons, they've got Ariza. How do you view that? As a Rockets fan, are you more excited to have Ariza, or would you rather have kept Parsons?
Definitely would have rather kept Parsons, but in the end, I think it wasn't. I don't reckon they blew it, because if we had have got Bosh, it would have been huge for the team. So they made the play and it backfired, obviously, but they couldn't get Parsons back because that would have put us way over the cap, and it wasn't worth it with the signing we got with Ariza. So yeah, the big play was to get Bosh within the cap, and that allowed us to go over the cap by re-signing Parsons to that contract. And once Bosh didn't come, that backfired. So I think in the end, the right call was made to let him go, because we had got Ariza. But if they had their time again and knew they weren't going to get Bosh, Parsons would be at the Rockets this year. But
definitely,
Bosh, obviously, I don't know, everyone takes the piss out of Bosh a bit, but he still would have been a great signing for us.
He's still a stud.
Yeah,
he is. He cops a lot of flack, but you know, he would have. I think they would have rocketed the Rockets. I didn't mean to do that. They would have shut the Rockets up the standings and into title contention again. I mean, they're still title contenders if they can get the defense together, but you know, I've only got them 6th in the West this year. I think the teams around them have gotten better. I think the Grizzlies are going to be better. I think Dallas, who Parsons went to, is going to be really good this year. And that's mainly because the Rockets, these guys that they lost Parsons, we talked about that. Omer Ashik's gone to New Orleans, who the Rockets just mistreated him all last year. He's a starting caliber player. You know, it's fair enough they didn't want to play him when you got Dwight Howard, but to let him go is a big loss. They've lost another interior rim protector. They didn't add a lot more either. I mean, they've got Jeff Adrian, Joey Dorsey, some unproven guys like Clint Capella, the rookie they brought in. He's huge with a mammoth wingspan, but he's still not as good as Ashik is now. They lost Jeremy Lin, who, you know, a lot of people are a bit harsh on him because of the whole insanity thing. They think he's overhyped, but he is a serviceable point guard. And you know, they brought in Ish Smith, who I love as a Suns fan. He had a really good last year, but he's no Jeremy Lin, is he? Nah,
definitely not. And the other one you mentioned there, Omer Asik, I think, he definitely got mistreated, but you couldn't really do it any other way, because Terrence Jones was the better option that stretch 4. Omer Asik was good defensively, but they tried it early on in the season and it wasn't working with him and Dwight. It started actually to work later in the season when they both got on the floor, because we were so good defensively when he was on the floor. But Terrence Jones was definitely the better option. And I think one person you could see playing a lot more minutes now that Omer Asik is gone is Moti Yunus, that's how you pronounce the name. He started to play more minutes towards the end of the season, and he's got a lot of potential. And I think with Omer Asik going, you can see him really taking over the floor a lot more, and I'm excited to see what he could produce. Well,
you've jumped in to something I was just about to mention as well. I think Moti Yunus and another Summer League guy that was really impressive in Nick Johnson are going to be key contributors to this team as well. They're obviously not all-star caliber players, but Motiejunas, they used him as a stretch four, mainly through his first couple of years, and he didn't really do a whole heap. But he showed in Summer League that, you know, put him in the post, get him some touches, and he's gonna torch teams. He's playing for Lithuania at the World Cup at the moment as well, which it's given him a chance, just like Summer League, to play as a key role instead of being that. He's come on, and it's hard as a shooter to come on in spot minutes and find your rhythm and hit your shot, and, you know, get him some touches down low, some easy scores, then step him outside, hit some threes. Oh yeah, I think you've nailed it there. I think Motiejunas is really going to be that stretch four, that rim protector that they need now that Ashik's gone. And he's going to fit better with Howard, isn't he? That he can step out, whereas Ashik is just terribly offensive.
And Mikhail's, since he's been the coach at Houston, he always loved playing that kind of stretch four position. Like Terrence Jones is a good 3-point shooter as well. Yeah. Well, not good, but
he's serviceable.
Like you still got to respect it. So
yeah, exactly. That
opens up the floor for Howard inside when he stretches the floor. And this team is inside and out, like you said, inside and out offense. It's you shoot the three or you get to the rim. There's not much mid-range unless Harden's hitting that mid-range jumper late in the last quarter when he does that step back that we all love. So other than that time, there's no real mid-range game in this team, which I like.
Yeah, well, we've seen recently with all the advanced stats that the mid-range jump shot is the worst one to take in the league. It's more efficient to shoot threes and get to the basket, you know. There's still, some people say that it's a dying art, the mid-range game, and, you know, fair enough. There's a lot of guys that still do it, but to hit those threes and get to the bucket and score efficiently is how the Rockets did it last year. And we've seen that their offense is perfectly fine. It's the defense is where they've struggled. So just keep it par for the course on the offensive end and they should be fine.
Yeah, like you said with the mid-range game, I think that still has life in the clutch because it's so much harder to get to the rim in those moments because the defense is just locked down way more. So you see a lot of players take mid-range shots for the win. I know Harden does it a lot, and Kobe obviously. Yeah. The mid-range game isn't dead, but it definitely isn't being seen much more in free play.
Yeah, I think Rudy Gay is the king of the contested 2-point jump shot. I don't mean to hate on Rudy Gay. I like his game a lot, but you know, that inside-out game's how it worked last year. It's how it's going to work this year. But looking at the guys that are going to play the bulk of the minutes, it's not really much has changed, is it? Except that they've slotted out Chandler and brought in Trevor Ariza. So do you think, who's the guy that you're looking forward to seeing the most this year on this team?
There's probably two. I can't wait to see Terrence Jones, to see what he can produce. He's had his sort of coming of age last year, got the minutes he wanted, so he's got to take it to the next level, help Dwight out on the inside, and also Patrick Beverley, because he's just such a little terrier. Like he's just, like a little Jack Russell.
You can say it, he's a prick.
Everyone hates him. He's kind of like, I don't know, I'll put in an AFL analogy here, but he's kind of like the Lindsay Thomas of North Melbourne. Like, everyone kind of doesn't like him if you're playing him, but the team who has him love him because he's just plays that hard defense, and then he can produce offensively. I think he could take that to another level this year.
Yeah, for all the AFL fans out there as well, I wrote which NBA players would make up my best 22 for an AFL side, and I had Patrick Beverley slotted into my midfield because I think he is the Ryan Crowley of the NBA. He gets into people's heads. He's more aggressive than people are comfortable with. You know, he's going to pull some shirts. He's going to bump you when you're in the air. He's like Bruce Bowen, except a little less dirty. I mean, Bruce Bowen tried to genuinely hurt people and break people's ankles. He kicked Wally Zerbiak in the head, closing out on a 3 once. And but I think
Beverley's a ball player, definitely. Yeah, I remember when in the Oklahoma series when he took out Russell Westbrook. But that wasn't dirty. He was playing the ball.
He's playing right to the end of the possession.
And obviously every time he goes back to Oklahoma now, he cops it because of that, because they're so one-eyed for Westbrook, which is fair enough. He did injure him, but he's definitely a ball player, and that's what I love about him, and that's why I reckon he has so much respect within the league. He obviously, like you said, he's a bit of a prick, but it's not anything out of the game. Like, we want to see that.
I think the best, as a basketball player, the way that I look at Patrick Beverley is he's that, obviously not physically, but he's that slightly overweight, balding, like guy in your rec league who's always way more physical than everyone else. He used to be like a gun in his day, and now all he does is throw his weight around, crash the glass, and like he's that guy. He just plays basketball. And, you know, he's not the most athletic, but he's going to kill you because he knows where to be, he knows how to play, and he's going to play as hard as possible all the time. Like the player that injured Russell Westbrook, he didn't go out to intentionally hurt him, like you said. He was just playing full court,
saw an opportunity
press defense right till the end of the play. Went for a steal when he called a timeout and they banged knees. That happens, that's basketball. But I think you've nailed it there. Patrick Beverley, with Lynn gone especially, is going to be getting way more minutes, and he can hit the open three, so he's not just a defensive player. But one guy that I'm really keen to see though is Trevor Ariza, because this is the biggest move the Rockets made in the offseason. And I've said it before, but I'm always terrified of guys who have just signed a massive contract. And especially Trevor Ariza, because he's the poster boy for my fears, because we've seen it before in Houston as well. That's what scares me the most, is he signed a big deal after he was with the Lakers. He'd won a couple rings, went to Houston, got lots of money, and was just pathetic. Was never the player he was in LA. And now he's got that 4-year, $32 million deal, which is big money. And he played the best year of his career last year. So it's not like he was just sort of going along like he always has. He played out of his skin last year, and I'm scared that he can't replicate it this year. I'm scared about this one too. He's probably... I can just see Trevor Ariza becoming the one that frustrates me at the Rockets, because he's got big shoes to fill. Well, they're not massive shoes, but in terms of being a Rocket supporter, everyone loved Chandler Parsons because of just what he could produce night in, night out. You knew what you were going to get from Parsons, and you don't know what you're going to get from Trevor Ariza. So if we start losing games and he's not performing, it's going to get pretty frustrating knowing what we could have had with Parsons. So I'm hoping that Trevor Ariza keeps his form going, because it could be a real plus that Parsons one becomes less of a hit to us. And I just hope that he performs this season. I think I'm only, like I said, I'm worried about it because of if the motivation's still there for him to be a top player, but also you had Parsons on the roster for less than $1 million. And you know, he obviously got a massive deal from Dallas. He didn't want to match that, and in context,
which he deserved as well, that contract, because of what he had produced, and he'd been playing on such a low contract for so long. And technically that makes Ariza the cheaper option, but if that didn't happen, obviously Parsons would have been way cheaper to have on the roster. And like, I don't know, I might be overreacting, and if Ariza can play like he did last year, it's going to be awesome for the Rockets. He's a knockdown three-point shooter, reliable, you know, third tier scorer. He's going to crash the boards, and that perimeter defense is something that's really important, isn't it? That's definitely it. And like you said, when he was at the Lakers, they won rings there, and Rockets are in a position to play. They're playing to win championships at the moment, so hopefully that gives him some motivation to play his best basketball. So I'm hopeful that Ariza will perform this season because of what he did last season and what he's got to play for with the team. Definitely. But moving on, we're going to hit the Believe the Hypothetical now. Shout out to the guys at Believe the Hype NBA podcast. Check out all the info on the screen, follow their social media stuff, and listen to the podcast. It really is a great listen. I love the stuff, boys. I hope everyone else gets around you, because you know you're really smashing it. Their prediction is, though, Jeff Adrian will once again have an All-NBA first-team haircut. Spot on, boys. It's a pretty good haircut. I like it. This is just a bit of fun in the game. You want players to have some sort of profile. I know, like, you have Swaggy P and all that. They're trying to build themselves. Jeff Adrian, not the biggest name in the NBA, but if you can get a good hairdo, people recognise you. And I think I'm going to try off the top of my head to name my All-NBA first team. I've got Norris Cole, who's obviously starting at point guard with the flat top. I think I'm going to have to give a quick shout out to Iman Shumpert though on that flat top. His is great as well. He's going to come off the bench for me. My shooting guard's going to be Nick Young, because I think Nick Young, it's underrated. He has such a versatile hair game. You know, it takes a certain type of person to be able to pull off a different variety of haircuts. So Nick Young is my all-around haircut guy. I'm going to go with Birdman, of course, at centre. We've seen he's had the hipster slick back. He's rocking the mohawk now.
He's got the massive hillbilly beard going as well, which as someone that has just zero ability to grow facial hair, I really appreciate that in a man. Jordan Farmer, he's got that ridiculous mop that literally looks like a mop on top of his head now. And I'm going to go with my main man, Chris Douglas Roberts at small forward, who he's got the haircut goggles combo, which is quite unique. You don't see that anymore.
Yeah. But, one you've left out there that I'm just going to say, we were talking about it before, Kawhi Leonard, love the cornrows. That's got to stay in the game.
That's it, the throwback.
And he backs it up with what he can do on the court. We obviously saw him in the finals, and I'd love to see the cornrows come back into the game. A few people bringing that back. So maybe Jeff Adrian, you could somehow get that going. I don't know how you do it with the hairdo he's got.
He can be the injury replacement, maybe Kawhi.
Yeah.
He can be our injury replacement with the cornrows. But and I think that's a pretty solid lineup. I don't know if it'd win many games, but it'd definitely be the best one to see in the barbershop.
Yeah, that's it. Great call.
Got to move on, wrap it up though. 30 seconds on the clock. What's your buzzer beater prediction for the Rockets this year?
I don't even know, but I'm just going to say hopefully top 4 again. Get past the first round. That's minimum for me. We have to be in the second round this year in the playoffs because of what's happened in the last 2 seasons. Our last playoff exit was disappointing, but we played a pretty good playoffs. Like, that round was so close. It was such an exciting series. Portland are no bad team. They were a good contest for Houston, but we should be wanting to go at least one better. But championships is what they talk about, so let's do it. Dwight, you've been saying it forever, you want to win championships, so the time is now. Harden, please play some defense. Like, if you play defense, it just makes the whole dynamic of the team better. So I'm thinking we'll still play top 4, and I'm hoping we get to the second round, but I want to win championships. Yeah,
well, I think some good news. I'm going to predict that they are going to make the second round. I think they have to do it. There's too much at stake. Like you said, Dwight runs his mouth a lot, but he hasn't actually produced since he's been in Orlando. Harden's been running his mouth, and he's been playing really well for the US. So I think that leadership is going to help as well, because he came out and he said that Dwight and him are the leaders on the team. Everyone else is just role players. You have to back that up. You can't come out and say you're the best player in the world and then get eliminated in the first round.
That's it.
And similarly, Kevin McHale, he's on the ropes as well. If he gets another first round exit, definitely. See you later. I mean, we saw guys like Mark Jackson got kicked out of Golden State in much smaller frame time. I mean, I think, Kevin McHale is going to have to be coaching for his life this season, and a second round exit is minimum. I mean, obviously people want to see a title, Western Conference Finals, but I think realistically, second round's what he's going to get out of this team. Like you said, Kevin McHale, his time will be up if he can't do that, because I know a lot of Houston fans get frustrated with him because he doesn't really change much up when crunch time comes. I think the thing for Harden is he's got to be a lot more aggressive when in playoffs, because the last 2 seasons he's been respectable but hasn't got us to the second round. So when that crunch time comes, we want to see him going to the rim because he draws the foul. And just one thing, when it becomes tight for Houston, I see Harden sitting off a lot, and that's the one thing you don't want him to do. You want the ball in his hands and going to the rim, because even if he misses, he's generally going to get the foul. And if he doesn't, we're not going to hold that against him. He's tried. Like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So the old cliche, but that's it. All right, we're going to have to wrap it up though. I can see the camera batteries slowly dying. Everyone's trying to set up here. We're holding them back. But thanks for joining me, Todd.
No worries.
I've been Matt Sampson. This has been Fiasco Sports NBA season previews. Once again, check out Sporties, check out the Believe Hype podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.